Hey, grateful day, y'all. It is my first day at a new place at work. Not new, but if you've seen my part one of this going back to juvenile justice series on my own terms, I'm going to link it up below. But my name is Dr. TK, clinical psychologist, and I am on the freeway in some traffic going to two different places today. And so I thought that I would take you behind the scenes, like another day in the life of a psychologist, but also to chit chat with y'all while I'm on my way, just to like get you up to speed and walk you through this process that I'm going through, and also share some, I'm going to say aha moments that I've already had, going to orientations and things like that. So let's go ahead and hop on into it.
Funny how the story goes, little hope but bigger dreams.
All right, y'all. So I am on my 40-mile drive down to Los Angeles County. I don't live in Los Angeles, Compton area anymore. I moved out where I live at now back in 2019 toward the tail end of the year. And after I've been where we live, I was just like, I can't go back to the city because I don't like traffic on a daily basis. I don't like really the push and go freeway, and I just don't like the busyness. I think I'm at an age where in my 40s, having kids, I want the slow down era, not the always busy, you got to watch where you drive era, right? So besides that, what I have going on my schedule today is I left home at 7, probably a little bit before 7. I had me for health purposes, had me a little smoothie, got this green boost. I'm really not as hungry in the mornings if I have not worked out, and I did not make myself get out of bed to work out early because I have a extremely long day. And that's something that if you work out in the morning, unless you're regimented about what time you wake up, you really want to pay attention to, especially on days that you don't know how your energy is going to flow, or maybe even the people around you and their energy, plus the drive, plus me, delivering services beyond what I already do like once or twice a week, is I just decided, let me rest, because when I go to the gym in the morning, I tend to get also tired around 12 o'clock just because my body needs a literal break. And I didn't want to create that type of sensation in my body where I already know I'm on the freeway. So got in the car around 6:50 or whatnot, and it usually takes me an hour 15, maybe an hour and a half to get to the nonprofit that I collaborate with. I am going to be doing a part 3 with their transitional age youth program, where in part 1, I typically talk about trauma-informed care, what is mental health wellness. Then in part 2, we go over, how would they define stress, because the goal would be that they get placed at a job site. So I like to help them be aware of unknown traumatic experiences that someone can have happen in a workspace, and like how to deal with it from anything, right? And I'm talking about inner city youth at that in LA County. So if you know, you know. And then the second workshop is more around, okay, now that we know that this thing, trauma, exists in a variety of ways, not just community violence, but just exposure, even being on your phone and social media and things. But also you're going to be at a work site, but also you go home or you live somewhere. So how does exposure to things, or poor relationships at home, or with partnerships, or parenting, financial situation, how does all of those things impact you while you're at work all day? Because people really believe, when I'm at work, I can detach. And as soon as something triggers you to remind you of what's happening at home, your detachment ain't that great, you feel me? And so we talk about that. And then what tends to happen out of those workshops is I get a better sense of, if I am able to work with them for a third workshop, what other workshop would be beneficial outside of maybe the staff telling me what they see would be beneficial. So based off our conversations, I had told them I'm going to combine effective communication. In essence, I'm going to talk about the different types of communication, how that comes up, how they can be triggered, and I'm going to pull everything together, like how they deal with it. So we talk about, or I help them define assertiveness, passive aggressive, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to go through all of them. And then we'll also talk about just like emotional regulation, aka a fancy word for anger management. And so we're going to cover that today. I'm going to be at the site, which I'll take y'all a little behind the scenes on my phone, because that's what I'm recording on right now. I don't know why I didn't bring my gimbal. I'll get into that. I was trying to bring as least things as possible. So after that, that's from 9:30 until 11. And then I'm going to have at 11 o'clock to 11:30, I'm gonna have a break. That's really important. Put breaks in. And then 11:30 to probably 12:30, just about, I'm going to meet with my operations manager to talk about fiscal year planning, the upkeep of like bookkeeping, profit and loss, reporting, and just overall, what are my goals for the year for business. And because I technically run two different entity structures, I need to think about like how many hours have I shifted with this new contract from my coaching business, because I definitely decreased my work hours doing less one-on-one this year. I am bringing one-on-one back in coaching next year at a higher capacity, but not to the point where I won't have a lot of time. It's literally like 2 days out of the month, but I have to make sure that I don't oversaturate my schedule. Highly important, entrepreneurs, therapists, healers. I want to make sure that with this new opportunity, because we do have 2 other facilities that have not given us the schedule yet, and we don't know how heavy it's going to be based on the needs of the program and availability and all those things. But odds are I'll probably get that schedule maybe in January, really not sure. But as of right now, for example, for the next 2 weeks, I'm actually going to be going out to the same one facility 3 times, and one of the days is on a weekend. And I'm going to get into in a moment how that itself, I really had to sit down and think about the pros and the cons. And it's a cool way of how I use like my coaching business mindset to like help decide that. But anyways, I'm going to be meeting with my operations manager until about 12:30 or so. Then I'm going to run some personal errands. And then I have to be at the facility. I know my workshop starts at like 2:40. So I aim on being in the area probably at 2 o'clock, because they already said parking is horrible, especially at the time that we go. And from part 1, if you watched it, I would highly encourage it. I have not been to this facility in like 8 years. And it was closed down for a little bit around 2020, 2021. So I just don't know what I'm going to walk into. And that goes back to why I decided to just like rest up and things like that. So now I want to get into like sharing how, not necessarily how this contract came about. Well, I will share some history with that, but then also how did I decide to say yes, and say yes to what capacity I can give. Okay. So I have been working with this nonprofit agency for well over 10 years. I feel like after 10, I just stopped counting, but I feel like it's like 12. I have to really go back to see like, when did I first get connected with them on my own? But I had been connected with them though for over a decade when I was working in, I believe, aftercare, which, if my timing is correct, I started working with aftercare in 2012. Well, it's 2024 right now. So let's just round up 12 years. And that's when I was introduced to them, started making referrals to their youth program at the time. Because they work with second chance re-entry population adults, but they also have programs for youth and transitional age youth. And it depends on the funding, like who they're working with at the time in terms of cohorts and groups. And so when they pulled me in to do trauma-informed care, it was mainly for adults and transitional age youth. And then I think I only did like one workshop with I call them the littles, which are like 11, 8, 14, 16 kind of thing. And then it goes into TAY, transitional age youth. So we would talk here and there about potentially going back into the facilities, because they were already part of, at some point when where I used to work used to have what's called multidisciplinary team meetings, MDTs. They were part of the aftercare process, clearly, for referrals. But then I'm sure over time things had changed, programming had changed, facilities changed rules and things like that. I just stopped asking about services like that because I didn't do the work. And so probably 2 years ago, the director had asked, have you ever thought about going back into the camps? And I was like, not through my job, but under my private practice, yes. But ideally, I would go in there and do like, what I'm doing here, like workshops. I can create series for the kids. It can be 3 to 4 sessions. I think my biggest issue was, depending on the type of facility, I would have to curate the type of content. And this is really important for continuity of care. I would want to make sure, as much as we have control, because we don't have control over a lot of stuff in the facilities, is that if I start a series and it's a series that needs to be continued, like we know this is 1 out of 7, but they need to do 1 before they get to 3, then we need to have it at a facility where the kids are going to stay. So more than likely it needs to be a long-term facility. If we know or can't guarantee that the kid is going to be there, more like a juvenile hall, then I would prefer to do, like, honestly, what I do here. Like, even though I've built up a series that goes part 1, part 2, part 3, these are 3 different workshops that can be delivered to 3 different groups of people at different times, right? And so with that said, we kind of talked about it, then it would drop. Then we talked about it, then it would drop. It was never a plan. It was just like, I want to go back into the facilities, what I'm saying? But like, not every day, not no 40 hours a week, etc. Like, and I already got my coaching business taking up 95% of my time. So it really has to be strategic, and we really need to plan this out. So a couple of months ago, the same director had let me know that she had been meeting with another department around them being pulled in to, host services in the facilities. Am I interested? And I'm like, yes. Like, yes. And so, but I said, I need to know what it looks like. Now is very different than when I first started with them. Like, I have a 6-year-old, I got a 13-year-old. We're talking about milestones with children, more attention required, boys on top of that. I mean, y'all know what happened with teenage boys in these stages, man. Help me. Anyways, we ain't gonna get into that today. We'll get into that in like a mommy video or something. But, oh, help me, child. So, anyways, I told her yes, and then we went back and forth via email, and then I just said, for planning for programs, I'm a real big advocate for, can we just have a meeting just to talk about everything, and then we can go back and forth about in the email to break it down. So, when I went up there for a workshop like I'm doing now, we just met before or after, and she basically broke down what they were looking for and what they would like me to do. I said, okay. I said, I can definitely do that. I do have some questions around scheduling, etc. So she emailed me and said, we got the contract. I said, what does that mean? Like, for me, because I don't know. I'm not an employee of the nonprofit, so I don't really know what that means for me. So we had another meeting, and she said, this is how, she called me on the phone because we were going back and forth in email. And I said, she sent me over the schedule. And the first thing I saw was a whole lot of blank spots to insert myself. And I said, in my brain, I'm like, I'm always looking out, especially for this nonprofit, because I work with them a lot. I definitely am going to be paid the amount that I am valued at. But I also believe, and I want y'all to hear this if you're building out programs with a company, I also believe that things can be packaged if you're doing things on a continuous basis, even if that means more like a retainer. For example, in the beginning, it may not be you do something every month, but it may be, can you deliver these 4 workshops in a month? So the question is, do you charge your full amount, which you have every right to do so, or because in a contract, in an agreement, in writing, that you are guaranteed a certain amount of workshops, at least for that month, that this is how much you're going to charge. But I will say, be very mindful of not just discounting your prices, because some agencies that I've worked with in the past will see that I have made a special package, and then they will want that hourly or one workshop package just for like a one-off. And I'm like, no, that was a retainer agreement, and this is a one-time workshop. You can get the package. It's kind of like a BOGO deal, like buy one get one half off, or just buy the first one full price. You feel me? Like whatever. So I just will say that around pricing, because I get that question a lot, like how do I price my services? And I always have the it depends. And this is why when I, as a coach for mental health providers, talk about my services related to helping you package your product or services, mental health services can be different than even coaching services. And this is why I require a certain level of personalization, whether that's delivered in a one-on-one intimate setting with me and that clinician, or it may be through like Telegram or Vox or voice note where I'm helping them go back and forth about their decision-making process. But either way, like for me, the way that I like to mentor my clients, there are some topics that the foundation can be broken down into a course, but the personalization of it is not going to be broken down into a group of 30 people. You know what I'm saying? Like I cannot spend the whole 90 minutes on your one question. So when people ask me like, well, why do I need the one-on-one, or why do I need the mastermind? You need the level of access. You don't need the mastermind. You desire the access to get the results that you want in your business at a more efficient speed. Okay. So moving into the next stage. So the next stage was, now that I look at all this availability and having a lot of questions, again, I just requested, so be assertive, I requested another, just a phone call. We ain't got to get on Zoom or nothing. So we spoke for about 20 minutes on the phone, me and the director, and just really, she broke down for me and put me at ease with my level of anxiety of what were the requirements, because I was left in a state of assumption, because it's a lot of partnership with different people doing different types of workshops or classes at the facility. And we may be under different classifications of titles, and that dictates what we talk about, how we're going to be evaluated. Because it's not like, even though I say I'm going in here with my own terms, let's be clear, okay? The fact that outsiders are going into facilities is sometimes not a great thing if we look at it from a systemic approach, because that means that they need additional support than what they have. That's for any job, right? You got to hire. And so because an outside agency is coming at this level of magnitude in a very short period of time, there's a lot of things that may need to be delivered. And my biggest question was, based off what y'all know about me and based off what trainings I provide, because they got a list, what do you think would be best beneficial for the clientele that I'm serving? Because even though I know juvenile justice, the culture of these kids these days in 2024, in addition to the rules that now go down in facilities, even with facilities not being named the same type of facilities, it is so many new nuances that your girl don't know. Okay. And so I'm like, because y'all done toured in there and all these things, tell me what y'all need from me. And they said, first off, we need trauma-informed care off top. Trauma-informed care. Because they know that the way that I deliver it, it's not given in a way where I'm going to promote these kids to like open up old wounds or why they're in jail. Like, no, I'm not even a therapist when I'm not a therapist for them when I'm doing that at all. I am the facilitator of a workshop, period. Write that down. When you do a workshop, you are not their therapist unless it is a therapeutic group, which means that you shouldn't be calling it a workshop anyway. So some of the questions that I had is how many kids gonna be in the group, and that number fluctuated, but at least I asked the question, right? Is anybody going to be in the room with me? Because I need to know for safety purposes, what is a setup? Because that was a training that I went through when I used to work at the facilities. We had 2 months of safety training before we can even go into the unit. That's how, like, not bad it was, but it was just like, from an outsider perspective, you don't understand what you're walking into. Like, you're not walking into a regular clinic, you feel me? And even clinics got certain safety measures because of the clientele that they may serve. So who's going to be in the room with me, and more importantly, where the hell are we meeting? Because the last time I was in that facility, like, we met in my office in a jail cell. There was no groups, and the only place I can see a group going down is either in a classroom, which is ideal, away from the general pop, because these kids ain't gonna be able to focus. Everybody gonna be walking around, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got time. Probation might be, reprimanded a kid. Like, I ain't got time for no distractions. So where is this going to be? And some of the things may be out of our control, but again, as long as I can walk in knowing what I am walking into, that is key. So she answered all my questions, put a little of my, my anxiety at ease. And then And then all of a sudden, I had the aha moment like, oh my gosh, this is a beta launch. And she was like, what? I said, this is just like me testing out a new product. Because in essence, even though I put a bid in to do 6 days within a 2-week period, and let me explain why I put in 2 weeks for 3 days a week. At this particular facility, they need workshops for 3 different units. So it may be possible that this is the way that it goes continuously, but it may not be where they need me week to week, back to back. Because that's one thing I told her that I'm going to evaluate is when I do meet with, let's just say, this cohort of kids and I come back to back, well, it may be helpful because I'm doing unit 1, 2, 3, and I'm doing workshop 1 all on one day, workshop 2 all on one day. And that because every day I'm going to a different unit. So today I'm going to, let's just say, unit 1. Tomorrow I'm going to unit 2. Saturday I'm going to unit 3, if y'all follow, right? But I'm doing the same workshop across the board. Then next week when I come in, I'm gonna go to the same 3 units on the exact same days, same shift, same 2-hour period, right? But I'm gonna be doing part 2. So first, what I'm gonna be testing, if we wanna talk about like stats a little bit, is the first thing I'm gonna be testing is how receptive they are to part 1 and part 2. And I'm gonna ideally talk to probation and maybe talk to the nonprofit about maybe what are the differences in the units, because there may be no difference. They may all be the same, like mixture of ages. But even though I'm not going to talk to the kids about this, is there a difference in crime level? Is there a difference in I'm waiting to go to trial level? Is there a difference in age and maturity level? Is there a difference in cultural components, right? And I'm saying all that because all of those things matter with the deliverability of the content that you're curating. And if I know that in one unit, they're more young-minded, I know that even though the topic is going to stay the same when I come back next month for maybe the same group or another group, I need to bring it down a notch. Or I can allow more room for discussion because this room can tolerate a conversation. Or it may be that in some groups, I may say, hey, to the person who's going to be in the room with me, hey, these are my rules for engagement. If you see that I'm kind of like trying to engage a kid like more than twice and they're not being responsive, then we really need to talk about how to handle that kid. Basic group therapy 101, right? Even though it's a workshop, because, I'm not going to tolerate somebody falling asleep when I'm talking, because they have to tell probation that they actually even want to be in these workshops, from my understanding. It's a voluntary thing. It ain't no you mandated to come kind of thing, right? So that's a plus. I'm also going to, I actually need to print this out when I go to the nonprofit. I need to give them a feedback form that's very simple. It'll probably be 3 questions. And I just want to know, how would they rate like my deliverability, my engagement? How do they understand the information in terms of their awareness of their overall mental health or the topic? And then like, would they want to workshop like this again? And I always leave room for like a little blurb to ask them, like, if you can learn anything else about being a better person, like for kids, that's kind of like how I would ask it. And then I would verbally explain it to them. Like, what other topics would y'all want to have to make you better for the next version of you? It doesn't matter where they're going, right? Because that may be the first thing. Well, I don't know where I'm going, so I don't know what kind of person I want to be. At the end of the day, whether you're going home or you want to go into or you're going to a facility, at the end of the day, you got to be on your best behavior if you want your freedom or if you want to keep it. So what kind of person do you need to become? And that's also part of my workshop with our conversation too. So that's the layout of the programming. Now, lastly, before I hop off and kind of finish this drive, is the orientation. So the first orientation that I went to was online, and that is when I realized, oh, y'all done changed up in here. But I also realized that I am an outsider, not an insider. What do I mean by that? I used to work for the county. I was an insider, directly operated under the scope of mental health in the county, meaning who is your payer, right? So with that said, it didn't mean that we didn't go through serious safety trainings and all these things. However, I was able to bring a regular backpack, not a clear, everything see through, like I'm going through TSA backpack, right? I was able to bring in my own pens, paper, but of course with disclaimers of like not having things, some things didn't change. Like these kids have turned anything into a weapon or a smoking utensil, if you get me. I don't want a pipe, right? So some of the things during the training, people were like in the chat box and they were like, oh my gosh. And I'm sitting here off camera rolling like, y'all have no idea the stuff that I've seen working in these facilities. Oh, like I'm not even gonna go there, but I can guarantee you I'll be on Netflix. Like not nothing like to harm children, but I'm just saying these kids is creative. I can only imagine these adult facilities. Oh, so I went to the training, everything was fine, very regimented, very strict, and I was like, whatever. But it seems like some things ain't changed. Like ladies dress down, so I'm up here looking like Men in Black without a suit. You feel me? Because no logos. Like if you ain't from LA, all sports teams is linked to a gang. You know what I'm saying? So those things have not changed, and I knew that. It came to me when I went to the second orientation. I did have to drive far and go to a in-person orientation. Now it's no longer a hall and intake center. It's more like a long-term facility. I'm not going to say the names of these facilities that I'm at just for safety purposes, but there are a lot of facilities in Los Angeles County. Okay, it's like over 8 or 10 or something like that. But some of them are short term, some of them are long term, some of them I don't know. Like some of them I think are still camps. But when I went to the in-person workshop, again, it was a lot of questions. A lot of people like, oh my gosh, are you serious? People would do that. They went over female dress code. So some things, it always tickles me because I'm like, unless you want me to come in here with some 5X pants that's going to fall off my body, I don't have a straight body. Kids are going to be kids. And I'm going to go ahead and sneak this in here. I remember getting this training about wear loose clothes fitting clothes, wear loose clothes as best as you can, right? And I remember one probation officer, the head at that, and he was not colorful. I'll just say that. And he was like, he looked around the room and he said, I see there's a lot of, it was like 28 of us that just got hired because there was a lot of stuff going on in 2010. And he was like, I can see that it's a lot of women in here. So this is my rule for y'all dress code. He won. He said, if you woke up and you got dressed and you feel cute, change your clothes. I said, we all looked at each other like, we had an inside joke like, excuse my language, my nigga, I'm always cute. But we ain't trying to be cute for these damn kids. Like, let's not get this twisted, okay? Like, that's disgusting, right? But what we were getting at is, can you be more clear about your dress code? That's the high quality question. So we asked that. What is actually not allowed? Stop telling me what you want and tell me what's not allowed. You got to be crystal clear. And so ultimately they said like, no tight fit clothing, no, like basic stuff, y'all. Like to me, that's common sense, but I guess some people, they got to say it because it ain't common sense. Like no open toe shoes, no heels or no heels over a certain, level. Now they started putting like, the female probation officers that's colorful, they'll be real with us and they be like, look, what I'm saying? If you got some curves, what I'm saying? Just wear something longer that's going to cover it up. Because I did have an incident where I was working in the camps. I had on non-tight intentionally, like capri pants. At that time, I was working in Lancaster. It was 110 degrees. It's bad enough I made the decision when I was young to get tattoos on my arms. And ladies, we don't realize when we get tattoos that we don't really have tops that cover up our tattoos outside of like long-term sleeves. And men's clothes aren't made like that, but girls' shirts stop right here, right? So I shortly realized that I had to get permission from probation at the time to wear short sleeve shirts. So that wasn't even a problem. Because they were like, as long as your tattoos don't say anything inappropriate, we're good. They looked at them. They passed it up to the head of probation. They didn't even care. Once I was in there, they knew I was like I'm fine, right? but it was the clothing. So one of the black probation officers, an older man, he was like, I'm just going to tell you this, doctor. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were cool, but it was the way he was trying to like use our relationship to tell me. And I low-key went and talked to my supervisor about it because it pissed me off. He was like, we work with juveniles. I'm going to tell you the same thing that I tell my wife. The black women, y'all got, more stuff to hide. So I understand that it may not be hideable or something like that, right? But, just wear something around your waist and da-da-da-da, right? And I get what he was saying, but it was the way in which he delivered it that I didn't like it. And it was in the facility and it was around other people that could hear. And so I went to talk to my supervisor about it, not to tell, but more so to say, what the hell you want me to do? I know that potentially over time, I hope that things have changed. But like I said in part 1, working in certain places are not for the weak. You have to have confidence and be able to hold your head up high. And for me, be able to know that I'm coming in there to do a job and I'm leaving. And what I want to end with as I am on I'm real close to getting off the freeway, is I'm really excited for the work that I'm there to do. And I know I'm going in there with a mission and a purpose. And my purpose is to bring awareness to inner city youth that mental health is a real thing. And mental health doesn't look like what they portray on TV. We all know you don't have to walk outside to see a war. We know that you don't have to go to war to see violence. And we also know that you don't have to see community violence for that to be the only thing deemed as a traumatic response or trauma exposure. Trauma is all around us every single day. And if you are a provider or you are somebody who consumes other people's stories, whether it be through family and friends conversations, whether it be through intakes, being a teacher, being a nurse, if you have not sought out your own services at some point in your career, or you don't have a circle of people that you can talk to, of course, without divulging people's confidential information, you are going to burn out way sooner than you would like. And you may not even realize that you're burning out, but you may notice, or other people around you may notice, that you have a low tolerance. You're isolative. Or maybe you throw yourself into your work. It looks differently for everybody. But at the end of the day, take care of yourself. So as I'm about to wrap up, at least this first part, I'll be back and I'll let y'all know how my first day was. I just want to wrap up with what happened with the agreement of me going into the facility. So my statement about it's just like a launch, a beta. A beta launch is you try something and you work out the kinks, which is why I brought up the feedback form. So I let her know, the director, that it sounds like we're going to go in there and test out the materials, the receptiveness of these kids, and then maybe after Christmas or when they give us the schedule for after the holiday, we will determine the frequency of sessions. Do they actually need 2 sessions, or is one good enough once a month? At least for me, everybody's program is different. Some people have independent living skills curriculum that goes session 1 through 8. I can make up and have other topics. I mean, I have 8 topics that we can give the kids at minimum, probably plus more once I get in there. But I also don't want to oversaturate with just information. I want them to have a transformation even for the little bit of time that we work. So with that said, I decided to go and give them more availability and not within boundaries. I gave them my full capacity because I have the time to do so right now. And I also know that I'm going on my Sabbath, as of December 20th. So one thing that I had to decide to do is, and I didn't know this at first, but I said, I don't know if they're going to be providing services during the week of Christmas and New Year, but the way that Christmas and New Year's falls is in the middle of the week, which would impact their schedule anyway. But from what I remember in the facilities, it would only be probation and 1 mental health provider. That's it, and we would go on rotation with the holidays. So I said, I'm going to let them know that I cannot work on those 2 weeks. And this is my availability. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. Meaning learn how to say no to opportunities that don't align with how you want to run your life. And guess what? Within 1 hour, they emailed me back and said, all right, everything looked fine. I just want to make sure that I understand your rates. That's the only question they had. And then I emailed them back and said, yes, this is the package, but this is what it's broken down technically per hour. They said, all right. I got the schedule. Simple. And I could have got into my head and overwhelmed myself. But I put out there what I desired to do based off what I understand of what their needs are. And it was a match. And to me, that's the prime definition of alignment. So with that said, at this point, if y'all ain't subscribed yet to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, but do not end. I am going to take you a little behind the scenes of like just what else I do with my day. I more than likely may not show any clips. I'm clearly not showing no clips of facilities, but I usually don't share clips of me doing the workshop at the nonprofit, only because even though they're not in any facilities, unless they jump into my camera, which some of them have, which means that they know it's my vlog camera. I make that very clear, right? Because they sometimes they follow me on social, like on YouTube for like workshops like this, but they know I'm dropping still mental health nuggets or whatever. And so if they happen to my camera, they happen to my camera. You know, I don't put their name or anything like that on the camera, but I don't usually include that footage. The most that you will see, which is why it probably is lower quality, is you will see me turn my camera to myself as like, kind of like how I'm recording now, but the lighting is off. The screen may not be as clear for whatever reason. If I'm passing around my phone, taking it out my pocket, and it may be at a funky angle with me getting a little clip with music over me, unless I really feel like y'all need to hear that part of me talking. So I'm just like explaining why you may see content in a particular way when I do go into my workplaces, because these series are about me chatting it up with y'all, seeing if you have any questions about the kind of work that I do as a psychologist and or expanding your entrepreneurship, mental health business. So if you do have any questions based off what I told you thus far, in terms of like entrepreneurship, running groups in the community and things like that, go ahead and put it in the comment box. I'll also make sure to link up in the description box part 1, and then from there, we'll see what happens for the rest of my day, y'all. All right, bye. See you in a minute. Hey, y'all. So I'm currently at Starbucks. Just want to show you what I got. So I got off the freeway thinking, just like everybody else, that this was like a walk-in, and they are remodeling. So they now have a window, and they don't have a trash can. Let me just say this. You are downtown LA with all these homeless tents and you ain't got no trash cans. You really want people to litter. Okay, let me get off my soapbox, because I'm like, I need to throw something in the trash, and they were like, but we can't take trash inside, but you don't have a trash can outside. So I'm walking in the parking lot. I clearly see all these Starbucks cups out. Y'all need some trash cans. Oh my gosh. So I got me a venti hot chocolate with soy and whip. I also connect, you know, if y'all ain't on this swapping points game, I link my Marriott points to the app. Like all of these apps talk to each other, all of them. If I could link that Rakuten thing to get some points when I shop, I'd do that too. I got me a Danish. I pray that this stays like a little warm after I eat my little snack, because I need some sugar. I know I got this thing, but if I'm hungry for it, I'm gonna eat it now, or I may eat it like after I'm done. But I got me a cheap. Oh, Lord Jesus, glad I had a napkin right there. What happened when you videotape everything? Help me, Jesus. All right. And then this is my favorite new breakfast. So I'm actually set this up right now. Potato chai bake. So let me slowly take these out. So I got my infamous sriracha fork. And then I got me the little, they're good. They have like actual little red potatoes in it. You remind me of a little, you know, a little omelet I be making at home in the morning. And I like, every time I see these, I'm like, I can just make this on my own. But do I want to? No. And am I hungry like this, you know, as soon as I leave home? No. Can I sit here in the parking lot and eat it versus trying to drive and eat it? Yes. And so even though they're like, you can technically pick them up and bite them, I typically have like the fork, because the sriracha can make it real messy, but it make it real good. I'm so crazy. I don't even like the taste of eggs. I only eat eggs because of protein. I kid you not. If I wouldn't have learned that eggs got protein in them when I was like on my heavy wellness a long time ago, you wouldn't see me eating eggs ever. But all right, y'all, let me go ahead and eat these so I can get on the road. I need to run to CVS, pick up some things. I am so not used to working outside the house to have like a for real lunch. Your girl needs to get it together. All right, bye. See all the stuff we see in LA? Look at this. I guess we juggling, y'all. We juggling. That's such some shit. Okay, y'all. So this ain't the best, like, situation, but this is my fit for today. Got on my hoodie, trench jacket. I'm bringing my lotion because I've been in to wash my hands when I'm out of the house about 5,000 times. And I need to buy one of those little lotions. But I am here. Let me show you my backpack. So I really don't like this clear situation, but I didn't feel like bringing 2 bags today. So I got everything right here. I'll give you a more in-depth look when I get into the office. Give me a second. Okay, y'all, so this is my office basic setup. So I got my dry eraser markers here, hot chocolate. I got my iPad with my bedazzled clear case, because that's what I'm gonna plan on taking it to the facility. I don't know if they're gonna let me in it with it today. So I gotta be prepared. I have my laptop to do some work here I gotta go to the mail, post office. Got my probation papers in there to like explain all the rules along with my laptop. And I got my handbag, and then I have my tote bag. So, all right, so right now what I'm gonna do is just get on here to make sure that I have everything. And I need to find this old evaluation form that I used to give them. We kind of did away with that for a while, but I really, because they used to start giving their feedback in person, like just out loud. So I felt the need to not have to get it on paper because I would document it. But this group is a little different. Most of them are talkative. Some of them are observant. So we do a lot of our stuff on Google Drive and on Canva. So I'm gonna go on Canva and find the evaluation form. Just to give y'all an idea, like I have a lot of stuff in here from them. I got certificates, we got schedules, we got PowerPoint slides, we got like training feedback from like the staff, as well as like implementing the scores per se. But one of the things I'm looking for right now is a feedback form that I made for them like back in 2020. Because it was a simple, like, how did you like this workshop, rated, something super simple. So I'm just gonna create a new one right now and have them print it out because I can't find it, but it's pretty simple, 3 or 4 questions, that's it. And then I'm gonna get ready for this workshop because I got about 5 minutes. All right, y'all. Hey, what's up, y'all? So I stopped and got me some Waba Grill. Had to make a good choice because I'm in an area where it's just like Carl's Jr. and Mexican food, and me and Mexican food don't mix with my stomach. And so it's 2 o'clock right now. I need to eat in the next 20 minutes or so because I definitely want to go in there a little early. I want to go through like some of the things that I just like don't know, and then it'll be cool to do a before and after. So some of the things that I don't know, even from where I'm parked, is does the facility that I'm at still have a cord attached? Because there were some that did and some that didn't. And then of course some things changed over the last 8 years. So you know, I'm also coming during a shift change, so I don't know honestly what to expect. So I think that as of today, even though I come here on a weekend day, that I'll have a better understanding of like how long it takes to get through security on a weekday. Does something else in the area make it vary? You know, but one thing I do know is it's easy to get here. Getting home is another situation. So we'll see. So, all right, y'all, let me eat. The workshop this morning was really good. Definitely got their attention when we start talking about anger management and responses and maturity and who you attract is what you are and how you show up. And I really got them engaged. And so I got a sweater, but y'all can't see it, but it got the name of the company that I work with, as well as my doctor real name, not the short name, because I chose to go by one of my last names just for privacy reasons. But yeah, I'll let y'all know how it goes. And this Waba grill is hitting, so I'm gonna go ahead and be healthy. All right, y'all. Hey, what's up, y'all? So it is 4:53. It is definitely not late, but it feels like it's 8 o'clock at night. I just wanted to touch base with y'all before I lost sight of all light, because I'm about to hop on this freeway, probably snack on the rest of my little pieces of chicken I got left. But overall, the workshop was really good. The staff and the kids were very much engaged. Definitely when I start talking about trauma for real, like in terms of PTSD in the hood, it got real in that joint, and I'm happy. And when I say real, I don't mean like they start opening up about their Pandora's box, because that's one thing I'm very mindful about is, and I ain't even told them though, like I don't have them open up their Pandora's box, because I just don't know what that's going to look like for them. And I don't know their history, so you really want to be mindful of how you're having people talk about their situation, because it can be dangerous territory. Sorry, hold on. But at some point, it was like if I go through phases, right? Let me just walk you through. So going through security, not a big deal, because I know how to follow instructions. Go through metal detector or whatever. When I first walked in, it was like I was more in a very much curious state for maybe the first 15 minutes of me just really seeing if things were at least in the place that they were when I left. And so I saw the units, on the outside, I saw the units that I used to work in. Of course, I only see the staff that are in the area that I'm in. Everybody was very, friendly, forthcoming. Now, one thing that I will say in terms of like work culture, because I think that when people start working on their own as an entrepreneur, you get very much into isolation, solitude, and you forget sometimes like basic social skills. And I made an intention in my mind before I even walked in that I was going to go and introduce myself to every single probation officer, every single other person that I saw, because it's not going to be the last time that they see me. Heck, I'm going to be here next week, at least in that particular unit. Now, once I got into the unit, introduced myself, it was hit or miss with the kids initially, only because they were in a transition period of some getting out of school. Once we got past the transition period and I got the bulk of them over there, it was quite interesting that when I really start getting into mindset, personal development, circles of influence, who you choose to hang around, dictates like maybe some decisions that you make, and all the things that we talk about related to personal development and intro into like trauma informed care. When I tell y'all, because we can't take cameras or anything like that, but was it a sight to see? I got some very, very good feedback at the end when I say on the edge of their seats, engaged, fire. Staff locked in, quiet and on fire. They didn't have to stand over there. But next thing I know is I'm looking around like staff locked in. Very engaging conversation. In terms of what I learned from today's festivities is you don't realize how much stuff you have on your electronics until you're without them. And I kid you not, I did not realize that I did not have the, I'm going to say trauma checklist that I use with them until I was about to get out the car. I knew that I didn't have my slides, but it wasn't until I was about to physically get out the car that I realized, oh wait, the whole checklist that I do with them so that they can actually see maybe how much trauma or symptoms that they're dealing with, I didn't have it because it was on the checklist. So what I'm going to have to do is like print out my slides and maybe put them in like a little folder, like a clear little folder or something. And I'm just going to have to act like I'm going to a place that doesn't have the internet. Like that's the best way in order for me to deliver the services, because I don't always want to rely on copies. The activity that we did today definitely needs copies, and so I'm going to have to, and again, another lesson learned is we made, I think, 12 copies for today, but we used 14. Now, also, they're not allowed to keep the paper. I think they can keep the paper, but then it'll get confiscated or something like that. So I was like, okay, I need to make sure that I'm doing something that they can consume, and then if I take it away, they would get the gist of the message. And so what I did do at the end, just like any professor would per se, is that when I wrapped up, I had asked them, like, what's your biggest takeaway, your biggest aha moment? What is one thing that you remember from personal development or trauma-informed care? And a few of them spoke, but I wasn't really like grading them on like who spoke, how many times they spoke. I was really paying attention to the transition with their ability to be locked in. And they were locked in. Body language, eye contact. Only one person was really playing with a sheet of paper out of maybe 14 boys. And it was just pretty cool. And I ended up divulging to them like my history of working in the facilities. So when I met with them, you know, I didn't divulge clearly personal information, but I do think it was helpful that they knew, because I am under a particular title. I wanted them to make sure that they knew that I was relatable beyond like what they see. So we talked about like cultural factors of how that plays a role with being exposed to trauma. I got them out of their seats and did an activity. And it was funny because at first they were shy to do it, but then I felt like I was back into my old self. Like, get these kids out of their comfort zone, get them up, you know, get them, you know, interacting with the activity, and they'll pay attention. And they did. And even that's when probation started actually getting into it too. Like they, you know, laughing and stuff like that with the kids. And so it was a very, very good time. And I really enjoyed it. The one thing that I do have to just take note of is I need to sit down and create some more in-person activities that they can do. So that way, you know, I can make sure that the time that was allotted for my workshop, that I actually finish within that time frame. I mean, I finished with 30 minutes to spare, but I had talked to the staff about, one, I didn't bring that checklist because that would have brought up more of a conversation. But then secondly is I realized I didn't look at my clock until the end, and it's almost like my brain shut off because I was so used to doing 90-minute workshops for like 8 years plus that I guess it's almost like your body knows you're done. So they also had an activity for them to do anyway. So it was, you know, no love lost because we stayed there until the 2 hours was up. But it was good. And I was there with 3 other staff in terms of the nonprofit that I work with. And so I really enjoyed myself. And so I know it's dark, so I'm going to wrap up because it's definitely nighttime. All right, y'all. So I wanted to end this video by letting you know how much I appreciate y'all. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, welcome back. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, like this video. Let me know what was your biggest takeaway from the video. What did you learn? If you are a therapist, make sure you stick around. I have so much content around diversifying your streams of income and always making an impact with the people that you love to serve. And then I'll also have a whole playlist for psychology students. And so if you want to learn what it means to become a clinical psychologist and maybe some different things or questions that you have around graduate school, then make sure to check out that playlist, because I know that I cater majority of my content to therapists who are already licensed. But stay connected. Let me know what was your biggest aha takeaway moment, or what did you enjoy about the whole day that I took you through today. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.